Hey, Crispy Crew, welcome back to Crispy Cocktails, where we bring you the best drinks, the best conversations, and get crispy with leaders, coaches, mentors, entrepreneurs, and all-around badasses making waves. If you're loving what we do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a sip of the action. And while you're at it, check out our website at crispycocktails.com for everything you need. Explore our flavors, find a retailer near you, browse our gallery, and get answers to your top questions. Before we jump in, don't forget to follow, share, and tag us while you sip. Now, let's meet today's guests. Cheers and get crispy.
Well, then, without further ado, let's get going.
Let's rock and roll.
All right, guys. The script is flipping today, and we're here with the one and only Chris Potter, your normal host for Get Crispy, and I have grown to just really enjoy being around this man because of his positivity, his work ethic, and his overall balance. And I'm just excited to do this. So, Chris, great to have you here on your own podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you get in? I want to start from like the beginning on this. I want to go deep. I know you, but I want to go a little bit I want to get to know you a little bit more on this and get to know your perspectives. But I want to know from your perspective, what was the first moment that you knew entrepreneurism was for you? Where was the spark? Was it family? Was it just your brain? Where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. And thank you, by the way, for that awesome intro. That was very nice of you. I don't know how much of that is true, but so I think that I've wanted to be an entrepreneur for a long time. Ever since I really can remember, I've wanted to start my own business. I wanted to work for myself. I've wanted to do a lot of different things. I remember when I was in college and sitting down with my family. It was actually at my great-grandmother's backyard and talking to my family. And I didn't want to go back to school because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and they were convincing me to go back to school. I had only had 1 year under my belt, and college is very important, and I am glad that I finished. But I think that point when I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to do something for myself, I want to start my own business, I want to make my own money, I want to have my own freedom, I want to create things that give other people value. I think that was the main area when I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I think that's probably when it really started.
Where did you go to school, and what was your education? What did you do?
Yeah, so I got my high school diploma from Thunder Ridge High School here in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. I actually went to CSU for a year and ended up having to quit school, and that's when my now wife, Tara, got pregnant. We've been together for a long time, over 21 years. Our oldest son now is 21 years old. So we had a child at a very young age. I was 19 at the time. And but anyway, I quit going to CSU, and I decided that I would just get my associate's degree. And I got that at Arapahoe Community College here locally. And I thought that that would be enough school education for me. And then I wasn't going to go get my bachelor's degree, and I was done with school, wanted to get a job, start my own business, do my own thing. And that's really when we had a talk with the family, and they wanted me to go back to school. And I wanted to basically just start my own company, get a job, do my thing, and decided to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree. And so I got my bachelor's degree from CU Denver, and I finished that in 2009. So it took me a long time because I graduated high school in 2002. It wasn't the 7-year plan, but it was like, I went to CSU for a year and then had a kid and then, got married and then really grew up and started a company, my first company, got a job. And then while I was doing all of that, I got my degree from ACC, which was in business administration with emphasis in management. And then decided to finish up my bachelor's, got that at the University of Colorado, Denver. in business administration with emphasis in management as well. I also got a certificate of completion in supervision because I took enough management classes. And that's, my whole education background. But I really feel like I went to the school of hard knocks. I've learned everything the hard way. I've, tried to use mentors and different people, but I've really learned as I go. And I try to, read a new book every month. I try to, learn something new every year. Or every day for that matter. I try to, keep honing on my skills, be a lifelong learner, all of that good stuff. So that's kind of a little bit of my educational background.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, like, shoot, I couldn't make it past a semester of JC. So I get that. But do you put emphasis? I mean, you can be a lifelong learner, correct? I mean, how much emphasis do you put on a BA in business or this? I mean, like, if someone came into you with no business experience, no bachelor, but they were learning, they were doing this, like, do you just set that aside, or is that the end all for you? Or like, do you think that you can just be continually learning outside of what a traditional university would give you? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, it definitely makes sense. And so when people come to me with a resume and I see that they have a bachelor's degree or that they have a lot of schooling, I think that that's great. But I don't judge people because of it, good or bad. I like to have interviews, and I think that it depends on the person. I believe that college is very important, and you're learning social skills, you're learning to be out on your own, you're learning, higher education. But I wish schools nowadays taught more life lessons, especially in business and like being an entrepreneur. Like, nobody taught me how to make a schedule for work. Nobody taught me how to interview somebody. Nobody taught me how to, pay my bills or write checks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
absolutely.
So I wish that schooling as you get older got more involved in the real day-to-day grind on what your like emphasis is in. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, I've got a, doctorate degree or a PhD or whatever, I don't look at that at all. I see the person, and I can tell you if you're smart. And I think that common sense and reasonable thinking and problem solving means so much more in life than anything else, because anybody can Google something and get an answer, right? And so a lot of the schooling helps in different aspects of your life, and it is nice to continue to learn, to grow, to read, to expand. But at the same time, I don't think it's the end all be all. And I know some companies need to have specialized skills and learning to hire people, and we're just not that. And I'm looking more at the person than I am at their educational background.
Cool. Do you think that having a child early on, getting married early on, did that motivate you, fuel you, or did that scare you more than anything? Like, knowing that you wanted to be, have aspirations of a business, do all this stuff. Like, what was that like? I mean, that's a young age, like,
yeah.
And it's a scary age with all that on top of that. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't in the plan. Maybe it was, but like, how did that like motivate you and fuel you?
Well, it definitely wasn't planned. That's for sure. Having a child at 19, but it's funny because when I was young, I started a company, I got married, I bought a house, I had a kid, I went to school, got a degree, I had a job, I moved out on my own with my wife and everything. Nothing changed my life more than having a child. And there's nothing that could have prepared me for it because I was still a kid myself. And so, yeah, I had to grow up at a much younger age. I think that I am kind of a little bit of an older soul, or so people have told me. So I grew up young, and I think that it helped in my maturity. And sometimes I wish that I would have had a little bit more time to be a kid and not have so many responsibilities at such a young age, but it's made me who I am today. And I think that it's definitely shaped me. And so I've had a lot of really good life experiences by a young age, and I'm 40 and I'm still going. And I don't regret any of it though. And I wouldn't do it any differently. And I still had great 20s, and I still, handled my business. But when life throws you different opportunities and different things your way, I think you got to roll with it and figure it out. And it definitely helped in my development.
What was that first business?
So the first business that I started, it was called Stickness Custom. And I had vinyl signs and decals. So our first company was basically I bought, so I worked for a company called South Suburban Park and Rec District. I worked for the athletics crew, so I took care of all the ball fields. So I did the baseball fields, like the stripes, and I drug them and stuff. We did the tennis courts, volleyball courts, football fields, basketball courts, all that stuff. And we had a sign shop there too. And I loved the sign shop. And I was always like loving stickers and putting them on my computer, my truck, and whatever. And I was like, I could get a plotter and start a little sign company. And so I bought a plotter, and God, that was a long time ago. I think it was in 2005, 6-ish. But I bought it and I got it right around Christmas time, and started that company the next year, and started making vinyl signs, decals, signage for fronts of windows, banners. And my first employee was my cousin, and him and I worked together. And he was very good on eBay, but he was like selling knickknacks and different items on eBay. And we were like, we should build an eBay store and sell the decals on eBay as well. And so that's where we really started to get some momentum and roll with it. And he took care of all the eBay side of it. He would package it. He would take in the orders. He built out the eBay store. He did all of those things. And I did all of the design, and I made all the products. So I made all the stickers and everything. And I would make everything. He would basically do all the operation side of it. And that was the first business. And then in 2008-9, and this isn't really an excuse, but when the economy tanked, our sales really started to tank, and we, stopped getting as many orders. People weren't buying as much, and the sales really went down. And so at that time, it was like time to pivot, time to figure things out a little bit differently. And so I actually still have my old plotter. I still make stickers, and I do them rarely, but I make them just for certain people, and I don't really sell those anymore or anything like that. But that business has gone away. I actually ended up selling my customer base and some of my equipment and everything to a friend of mine. And so that was kind of the dissolution of that company.
So you were pretty early, like in e-commerce. Like, did you still continue doing that, or like, have you ever wanted to get back into that? Like, was it a model you liked, or was it just kind of a stepping stone to what you kind of wanted to do?
Yeah, it was a stepping stone for sure. It's a model that I love. I love e-commerce models. I love DTC businesses or direct-to-consumer businesses. I love eliminating the middleman and going straight to consumers with having products and stuff. And I wish that I probably would have stayed more involved with internet marketing, internet sales. But that's not my strength. And I've never really been a huge tech guy. And so it just kind of moved away from that, and it morphed into something totally different. But yes, I would love to continue to do direct-to-consumer stuff. I love direct-to-consumer companies and subscription-based companies. And I've always thought, what could I do to do both of those? But it's where it's led me to today.
What are you? What was the next step, or what are you doing? What did that lead to?
Yeah, so after we did the vinyl signs and decals and Stickness Custom kind of went away, that was 2009. And that is when I basically got my bachelor's degree, graduated and everything. And I felt like I needed to get a grown-up job and start making some real money. And so I stopped working for South Suburban Park and Rec, and I actually got a job doing financial services, and we were financial planners. We did investments in insurance. We sold IRAs, annuities. We did mutual funds. And I worked for a company called MWA Financial Services. And I worked for that company for 5 years, basically from 2009 to 2014. And I built my client base up to, I had 153 clients. So it wasn't huge, but it wasn't really small. And I felt like I was begging people for money constantly, trying to get them to invest, and the market was doing well. And I really had the desire to start another company. And I thought to myself, if I was going to spend all my time somewhere for the rest of my life, where would I want it to be? And I thought that I love sports. I love partying and drinking and having a good time. And so I thought I wanted to open up a sports bar. It's like what everybody dreams of, right?
Absolutely.
Or all men, I should say. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't assume that everybody feels that way. But at some point in your life when you're young, you feel that way. And I was in my mid to late 20s. And so in 2013, I decided to open up a sports bar. And I actually put a second mortgage on our house in order to fund it. And I took all the money that I had available. And I was actually in finance. I was our company's agent of the year in my district in 2011, and I looked at roughly 40 different locations to open up a bar, to either start one from new or to purchase something that was already existing. And it led me to the Crimson and Gold Tavern. And to be totally honest, it was mismanaged. There was quite a few investors involved. And the Crimson Gold Tavern is right on the DU or Denver University campus, basically. It's the closest sports bar to the Magnus Arena. They had, quite a bit of cash flow, good cash flow, but they weren't making any money. They were struggling, and it was the next step in my process, and I was able to somewhat lowball them, and they took my offer, and they tried to come back and say, we'll split the difference, or, that's too low for us. I was like, no, you don't understand. That's all the money that I have. If you're going to sell to me, this is going to be the purchase price. And they eventually ended up accepting the offer. But I think let's talk about the numbers. They wanted $370K for it, and I offered them $170.
Wow.
Yeah. And they ended up taking the deal.
Wow.
And I had to come up with the money. So we put the second mortgage on the house. And I had everything else that we had saved. And that's how I used leverage to purchase the Crimson and Gold Tavern. And that's really where my entrepreneurship career really took off. And I had zero experience in the bar industry. And I ended up bringing 2 guys to run the front of the house and 1 guy to run the back of the house, because I didn't know anything about that. But I was really good with operations, and I was really good managing people. And we closed on that business in October of 2013, and right now it's July, the end of July 2025, and I still own that company to this day. So it's been almost 12 years.
Wow. Were you a financial guy, or did did getting into finances something that you knew that how important that would be in it, just to know that stuff? Would you have made that deal before you were doing finances?
I probably would have made that deal, definitely. I think the career in finance helped me with sales, number one, big time, and with dealing with money. And I still have accounts with them to this day.
Hey.
And so nothing bad about the company or anything like that. And that company had over $1 billion in assets when I left. I don't know where they're at today. But my mom was a banker too for a long time.
Okay.
And she worked her way up inside the banking system for a small credit union here in Colorado. And I actually had a bank account before I was born, and I still bank with the same company to this day, same bank.
Wow.
Because she had worked there for so long. Now, she hasn't worked in the bank for a long time now, but I still bank there. But I think that her being in the banking industry and me doing some finance definitely helped me with the management of money, for sure. And that's one thing that if you want to be a good, smart entrepreneur, you've got to learn how to control your money, use it as a tool, and be aware of your numbers. And that's one thing that I've always been very good at. If I'm going to toot my own horn, like math was my favorite subject in school. I was very good at it. I got an A in polynomial calculus in college. I don't know how.
I didn't know what that is.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you how to do it now, but I could figure it out. I mean, if I like got back into it, but I was good with numbers, and that's one of the skills that I had.
Yeah.
Wasn't very good with the tech side of it, but I was always good with numbers, and I think that really helped me out.
Well, that brings me to like a question, but like how like that's a huge risk, huge out of the gate. Maybe it didn't seem like that to you, but like how do you differentiate between like a risk like that or like a reckless decision like that could sink you? I mean, if that didn't work out, like, do you think about those things, or is it calculated, or how do you take that risk when you're going into something like that?
Yeah, it's definitely a calculated risk, and one of the things that I really look at is the margins. I know that if you run a business and keep it within the right margins for your industry, you can definitely be successful. So like one of the things is I want our labor costs to be less than 30%. I want our cost of goods sold, especially in the kitchen, to be less than 30%. I need our occupancy cost or our, operating costs to be less than 30%. If I can get those three numbers in line with where they need to be, it really doesn't matter if you do $100,000 a year or $1 million a year or $10 million a year, you're gonna make money, right? And so, you want to look at the P&L before you purchase an existing business, or you want to go through numbers. And I really think that business plans and projections don't really mean much. They do to the banks, and I don't know why. I do know why. It's because they want to, cover their risks so people can pay their bills and everything. But, I wasn't able to get a bank loan when I bought my first business, so I did have the equity in the house. And I think that leverage is a huge form of how I've been successful, and it is very risky, but you can balance that risk by staying on top of your numbers, making sure that you're in the right margins, and really focusing on what you need to do to be successful. And I think that hiring quality people that will help you get there as well is huge in your development, in starting a business. And so taking calculated risk is definitely where you want to be.
If someone like me who is awful with money, awful at math, awful with all these things, makes bad decisions with that, but takes risk, like, is money, is that the most important aspect of a business? Like, I mean, to at least stay in those margins, stay there, or is it running the functioning side of it? Like, or does it all go hand in hand? What would be like maybe your top tiers of like, say someone didn't have a house to mortgage or this, they wouldn't be able to obviously do that. It would be a smaller scale, but like, how do you rank those things, like when it comes to actually even starting a business?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, I would say number one is desire. Do you have the desire to do it? Do you have the attitude to get it done? And are you willing to put in the hard work? Because I looked at the Crimson and Gold and thought, if shit does hit the fan, I can, work there myself all the time, and I could, lower the labor costs. It really is problem solving. So do you have the passion and desire to get it done? Are you willing to take on that risk? Because it is stressful. A lot of your employees don't see the sleepless nights that you have, the constant battle that you're dealing with, picking up shifts when people call in. Are you willing to take on the challenges necessary? Are you willing to do the things that you need to do to be successful in order to make your business succeed? But money, I would say, probably is the second most important thing. You don't want to have the lack of capital. You don't want to run into a situation where you're running out of money too quickly. It's going to take some time, and that's with me. I was able to buy something existing, and I eliminated a lot of my risk too by looking at 40 different locations before I decided to choose that one as well. And so I think that a lot of preparation up front can help minimize those risks as well. And then I love the OQP method, only quality people. Surround yourself with quality people, and I say this all the time, that have a great attitude, hire for attitude, train for skill, but attitude and effort. We want hustlers that are going to get the job done, that I don't have to micromanage, that are motivated by themselves, and, you know, people that keep really good attitudes. I want positive people that bring positive energy. I want to work with people that are happy, that, you know, and obviously there's going to be bumps in the road, and I've gone through tons of different people. It's notorious in the industry and the longevity of it as well, but we are a stepping stone for people that want to go to college or want to do a different career or have to move away or whatever. So I understand that, but I think that those would be the three things that I would focus on. Is one, make sure that you have the drive and that you can bear it out when things get difficult. Number two would make sure that you have enough funds to get things done and you can plan for a raining day. And I did have a little bit of extra operating capital when I started my business, but I did leverage the house to get it. And then three is make sure you surround yourself with quality people. And those would be my three first things that I would look at. So, and then when it comes to getting financing, man, working in the finance industry definitely helped me, and knowing some of those avenues. You know, talking to banks, you could talk to friends and family, which I think be very skeptical and weary about that, because you don't want to put pressure on your relationships or your family. But if that's the only avenue you have, I think that it's a good start. But leverage, to me, is what has helped me be so successful.
I hear a lot of people talk about going all in, not having a backup plan, committing fully. Was that your like all in, or do you always have a backup plan for anything? I mean, we'll get to Crispy, we'll get to Sports Lounge, but like, because you built those things from that, but like, if that didn't work, I mean, like, did you have a backup plan, or was this is what I want to be doing and I'm going to put all my energy into this?
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about it. It was just like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And we're going to get it done no matter what. And then if it doesn't work, then you figure out something else at that time. Yeah. I tend to overthink things sometimes, try not to, but it's like what Tony Robbins says, like, burn the boats, go all in if you're going to make it happen. It is nice to have a backup plan. And I always thought too that, you know, if this doesn't work out, I can always go back to do finance. And I was still doing some finance at the time as well. And then I slowly got out of it.
Yeah.
But I think that if you go all in without a backup plan and you're hungry and your back's against the wall, you'll be more successful than if you do have a backup plan, because it's easy to fall back on that. And having a loving wife that had a job at the time that had consistent income certainly helped as well.
Yeah,
and
that's an untalked thing about a lot too.
And I had some residual income too that was coming to me from the finance industry, so I kind of built on that. Now I do not. I don't do any, finance on the side or anything like that. But I still have my investments. I do it myself. But I truly believe that you run into a backup plan or plan B when that time arrives. Yeah, don't plan to fail right from the get-go.
Yeah, no, but I think that's, from an entrepreneur as myself, who's a bad entrepreneur.
You're a good entrepreneur.
You
run a successful business, and your wife helps you out a lot.
Well,
too.
she absolutely. That's the teamwork. But like, I will start and have started so many things. But I can prep. I can get the logistics. I can get everything ready. But pushing it over the edge is always a problem of mine. Like, I've started so many things, but like, I know that I'm cruising with what I normally do, and I know there's other things that there's opportunity to do. I have the time to do it, and I'll take my extra time. And as soon as I have it at the finish line, it's like, it almost is like a mental, like, I can't push it over the edge. And it's just like, I know there's a lot of people like that, because it's not always the easiest thing to just really go full into another thing from something you're already doing too.
Yeah.
So
That's, to me, it's all about being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know, one of my biggest fears is getting to the end of my life and regretting the person I could have become. And I would hate myself if I was working. I'm just not the type of person that can work the 9 to 5 and have that security. I would be miserable. This life to me is so much more freeing. It's so much more rewarding. It's so much more happy than it would be working a corporate job, in my perspective. And I was going to ask you too, what's your plan B?
I the same. I don't have a plan B until it gets to that point. It's like you always see, like in my industry, it's like you kind of see the writing on the wall or this. I'm not a good salesman. I'm the worst salesman. I don't sell anything, and most of my work is through word of mouth and this. And I know that's a bad business model. I know I'm not a good business person. Like, I'm a hard worker, and I will do things, and I have quality work. But that's always been the thing. Like, when I did have like a business partner, he was the sales. He could sell for days, and I could have just kept doing that. But that's a different story. It's about just the clashing of minds, all that kind of stuff. But like, I needed that. I still need that, and I don't really truly know how I'm even getting by. Like, but like, it's like, and it's just, that's the truth. It's like, but I don't have, like, I know that if some reason I didn't have another job and I needed to still produce money, I feel like I would be able to find something. It wouldn't be what I would probably want to be doing, but it would just trigger my fight or flight. Like, I need to do something. And I have met, enough people where they would know my work ethic, and that would be maybe a backup. Like, in the back of my mind, like, okay, maybe I could just do this for less than what I'm doing and still give value and quality to someone else. And that would just have to be a very specific situation, I think. But it's like, it's a hard thing, because it's like, sometimes you're not always doing exactly what you want to be doing. Like, I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't really feel like I should have a business. Like, I just feel like I've always been there to help other people, bring value to them.
Yeah.
And it's just not about me. I don't know how, like, all this, like, like I said, still going, but like the backup plans, like, I think they're in the back of the mind, but it's like, you just keep going through and you navigate each day. It's like, okay, where is this going? But you have to project in the future. You have to look to the future. And that's always the thing for me. It's like, the future is so hard to see for me. Like,
Yeah, nobody's got a crystal ball, right?
No, and the planning of that. It's like, you hear all these things. It's like, work hard, be consistent. You have all these things that you do, which I believe discipline is a huge thing, which I'm working on. But like, what are those things that you would give to someone, like, that you do, that you've seen, like, just be beneficial in your life, entrepreneurial or not? Like, what are some of those things that you do?
The top two things are discipline and consistency. And you hit it on the head, right?
Well, it's hard to execute that for some people.
But it's also hard not to execute it. Let's take smoking, for example. It's harder to smoke than it is not to smoke. But for smokers, it's much harder to stop than it is to continue to smoke. So, and what's the famous saying? That people will actually make change when the pain of change becomes less than the pain of staying the same.
Yeah.
So, if you want to grow as a person, if you want to see what you're truly made of, discipline and clarity of mind is one of the things that I've really focused on. And so it's a discipline of waking up early. It's going through your early morning behaviors or your EMBs. It's journaling. It's listening to affirmations. It's finding out more about yourself. Having discipline in situations that you know are, bad or good for you. Putting yourself in the right situations to where opportunities align and open up for you. And Richard Branson used to say, opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. So there's no shortage of opportunities. But for me, I've noticed that I'm happier. I have a better vibration. I have a much more positive attitude. If I'm consistent, I have discipline and I have balance in my life. And I love learning more and more about myself as I get into different phases of my life and really seeing what I'm made of. And discipline now to me is not overindulging in drinking. It's waking up early. It's exercising. It's learning. It's recharging my mind. It's taking care of my people. It's basically becoming who I ultimately want to become. And it's reflecting on your life and really thinking about things. I think that people don't think about where they're headed, what they can do better. You know, we get so bogged down with social media and TV and everything else. Having alone time takes discipline and thinking about where you want to go and putting in that hard work on yourself, because that's where it really starts with. It starts with yourself, and then it can trickle into your business, into your family life, into your friendships, into everything else. And so, you know, if you want to be happy, read books on happiness. If you want to start a business or you want to create wealth, read books on money and starting a business or listening to this podcast. If you want to...
Definitely listen.
Yeah. So anyway, but it is all about balance, and I still like to have a ton of fun. But discipline and being consistent, you want to be consistent for your family. You want to be consistent for your wife, for your business. You need to be trustworthy for people to actually follow a good leader and continue to grow. And so it's all the cliches of everything that everybody says, right? But I love waking up in the morning and listening to, you know, positive motivational videos that include, you know, Jim Rohn or Bob Proctor or Steve Harvey or, you know, any of the mentors that we have. We have all that wealth of information and knowledge. Like, we can use it, we can channel it, we can use it for good. And so I try to instill that in our people too, and give some of our staff members different books or send them different videos. You can learn so much on branding, marketing, whatever you want on YouTube or anything like that. This is going to become a commercial for YouTube. But anyway, you know, it's really honing down, having the discipline and staying consistent that will build and keep compounding as you move down life.
Well, it kind of sounds, from your perspective, which I never really thought of, is that like being an entrepreneur is not only finding out about how to run a business properly or do this, but it's kind of has parallels with just you're finding yourself, like almost finding your purpose or those passions. And when you're working on yourself, you can also be it seems like those things just parallel. I mean, do you feel that same way?
Oh, definitely. You know, what you think about, you become, and you're the catalyst to everything in there. So I think that, you know, being an entrepreneur, you are the business until it can grow to the point where the business doesn't need you. And if you truly are a good leader and businessman, then the company and the business can run without you. And that's the ultimate goal, right? To have nothing but freedom in your life. And so I think that's one thing that a lot of us strive for, and one thing that it's like, I'll make the decision to make that happen. And another thing that we should talk about too is patience. Most people want things immediately. They want to be rich in their 20s. I didn't figure this out until my mid to late 30s, or even, you know, now that I'm 40. Like, it really is the journey. When people are like, it's the journey, not the destination. Like, it's true. Like, you only have today. That's the only thing that we can really make the best of. And so being patient and letting it come, going with the flow of life, it's going to happen. It takes, you know, you think that you're going to be big and get money and do all these things, and it's only going to be 2 years or whatever. You know, multiply that by 10. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And just understand that from the get-go. So patience, I think, is key. Most people give up and quit when they need to persevere and have patience.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Have you always been this? Like, have you always been have those EMBs? Like, when did you start that? Like, listening to the Rohns, to the Robbins, to like reading the books. Like, when did you always do that? Like, always had that like drive to or did it start later? Like,
It definitely started later, and I think that I got more and more in it as I got more mature, and I wish somebody would have kind of showed me that earlier when I was younger, and that's why we started this podcast.
yeah,
It's because we want to use it as mentorship to people around the world. They can use these tidbits of information to make themselves better because they might not have a mentor or somebody they can look up to. So, and I don't know why it came to me. I guess I did the research on what the most successful CEOs do.
Hey.
And when it's like they read, at least one book a month. Okay, I'm going to read one book a month. They, listen to motivational videos. Okay, I'll listen to motivational videos. And I tried everything. My love language is words of affirmation. So I like to meditate on affirmations every morning.
you're awesome, dude.
Yeah, totally. I love you. Thank you. I love you. But it's weird. And that's what the achiever is in me.
Yeah.
That's what my Enneagram is too, I'm an achiever. I'm an entrepreneurship group called Thrive here in Colorado. I recommend that anybody get in an entrepreneurship group if they are a business person, because I've learned more about myself in those meetings and get-togethers and doing like the Enneagram work, and reading Positive Intelligence. And sometimes you never know what's going to happen, but you read a good book, it might change your life. That might be the catalyst that actually prepares you forward into something different.
So let me just give you a little, like, I've like filmed a lot of motivational people, like I've interviewed countless athletes, CEOs, I've thousands of successful people. I've heard all the same stories, like all these things. And I don't know if that makes me want to be like, I don't need to hear, I'm listening to it IRL. So it's like, I know all the things I should be doing. Like I hear these things, I understand them, but like, what would you say to someone like, how is that like changing your mindset? Or like, because some of it is BS. Like some people are not genuine. They're not this, like those cliches, like, I believe they're true, but then some can be disingenuous from that, or they're just regurgitating it from someone else that they've heard, making it their own. But it's like, what I'm getting at is like, so how does that like what are those people like giving to you to like, is it just because these things too, like, but like you do the same thing, you have those things, you have your own ideals, like, but like you still read, you still do all these things. Is it just part of your routine now, or is it like you're hearing something different from a different perspective that you maybe didn't hear? And how do you apply it? Like, how do you apply those things?
Yeah, that's also a good question. And I think that it's the repetition of the right information enough to feed your brain. And if you feed it positivity and growth and new ideas, you will be more creative, you will create neural pathways in your brain, and you will become more positive, create more growth, and have a better attitude when it comes to looking at life. I'm not saying that you can't be successful if you drink every night, smoke, have a bad lifestyle, but I've embraced the life of like, be the light at the end of the tunnel. It makes you a better manager. Your people want to follow you a little bit better. It inspires hope. And there's really two sides of the spectrum. And I know that there's a lot of gray area because of different circumstances or situations, but I implement those in my life because they feel good to me. And on my entrepreneurship journey, I've learned more about myself than anything else. And so, yeah, I want to make other people happy and I want to give them value. And I love their faces when they try a crispy and they love it. Or I love their faces when they come and have a good experience here at the Sports Lounge or the Crimson and Gold Tavern. We're trying to produce good in life, and that's what the podcast is about. That's what I'm trying to portray. Because when you get to the end of your life, what really truly matters is did you leave this world a better place or not? So those are the things that I can only speak from experience with me. So when it comes to people that might be fake or don't do it, or they're hypocritical, or they're just regurgitating what they've read in books and stuff like that, I think that we can see the BS meter and we ignore the naysayers in a sense. And when it comes to negative or fake people, you can pretty much spot it almost instantly. And I don't like to keep those people in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'll stay away from them.
Yeah.
Negative people, like, and people don't realize like how important their brain is and what you feed it, you know? And so in that, it's consistency, and it's continuing to do those things, because we're going to go through different emotions. We're going to go through different times in our life. We're going to go through traumatic experiences. Everybody's got their own problems. It's learning how to deal with them. And I learned how to deal with them by, reading books, talking to mentors, listening to affirmations, journaling, reflecting. All of those things seem to work for me. And I was like, I'm going to just try it all. And, and I don't do it every single day, everything, but I might journal, at least once or twice or 3 times a week. It just depends. Sometimes I do it, for 90 days straight, and then sometimes I won't do it for 2 weeks. So it depends on your lifestyle too. And don't think that you have to do that all the time to be successful or be happy. Find out what works for you.
Yeah, well, I'll say, like, I think mentorship is a good thing, but it's a convoluted thing for me, because, like, I was at a place where it's find a mentor. It's the most important thing. I've asked people, hey, will you be a mentor? No response. Like, and I've always felt like I'm just not at a certain level to be at a entrepreneur group or something like that. But I can see how that would be beneficial to be, like, when I'm around you, I feel the best, because, like, to me, you're a mentor. Like, without me asking, because I'll never ask someone, hey, will you be a mentor anymore? Like, because I've just gotten literally just like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that mean to you? It's like, it's not like I'm asking for free advice. It's just like, hey, I want to see how you're doing something. But, like, I just have had bad experiences with that. And I can't be the only one, but, like, I've tried it with, anytime you're around someone that is what you would think more successful, or that has the qualities that you aspire to, like, that makes you already feel so much better. Like, and it's all mental. Like, when you are isolated, or you try to do everything yourself, or you think you have all the answers, like, it's nearly impossible.
A lot of times we look for mentors because we think that they're going to give us all the answers. And when I was young, I wanted somebody to tell me what was best for me, and I wanted the answers. It's like, almost like, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me, like, what I want, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's where you lose a little bit of yourself. And as I've gotten older, it's really the simple things in life that make it great. And you have to figure out the answers for yourself. Nobody's going to give them to you. So that's a harsh reality that I ran into. And then it's like, as you get over it and actually finally do figure that out, it's like, okay, nobody's going to do it but me. I've got to figure this thing out. I can talk to people about it and get some maybe advice or experience shares, but nobody's going to, solve those for you than you can. So that's why I think that you should really focus on yourself. So, after I had got into Crimson and Gold, and I did that for a while, I wish I would have actually grown faster, but, I like to focus on the gain from where I'm started than the gap of where I want to be, because right now, still where I want to be, the gap is tremendous. And wow. So with the sports lounge and opening this place, it was actually Little Richie's Pizza and the Off-Broadway Lounge. And my broker actually found this, and it's in my neighborhood where I grew up. And I was actually able to leverage my home again and the Crimson and Gold Tavern to get the money that I needed to buy the sports lounge off Broadway. So I used leverage again to purchase this place. And that was in September of 2017. So just about 8 years ago. So it took me 4 years to get a second location. And so I did that in 2017, and then got this place up and running, did some remodeling and everything.
What did this place cost?
So this place, I actually bought the real estate with it, and the real estate was built into...
Wow.
the price of the business. So I bought the business, the real estate, and I was able to do an SBA deal, which is great. 504 loan, which was for the real estate, and it was actually $2.28 million bucks.
Wow.
So $2,280,000. It was actually 2.2 for the purchase price, and then I got 80,000 in money for tenant improvements. So I spent $80,000 remodeling this place, which went super fast. And now, you know, they've built around us, and I really do think that just the property here is probably worth close to $3.5 million just in 8 years since I purchased it. But who knows? So anyway, purchase this.
That's the way to do it, right? If you can.
Yeah.
Is get the real estate.
Yeah, it's definitely to get the real estate. If buying the piece of land is definitely, I believe, in the best interest. Now, I don't own the property at the Crimson Goat Tavern, and I want to buy real estate as much as I can. And real estate is what has led me to be so successful because I've used it to leverage. And I got lucky with that. But we got this place, we ran it, we've been successful here. And then I actually was part of a group, the Colorado Bar Owners Association. I sat on the board of directors there. And we had quite a few members, but there was roughly 7 of us on the board. And one of the guys that was on the board wanted to move to Florida, and he owned 2 bars, and he had a buyer lined up, and the deal fell through. They couldn't get finance or something, and he was like, Chris, I'm moving to Florida. I want to do something with one of the bars that I have. Would you be interested in buying it? And I said, well, I'll take a look at it. And he ended up giving me an offer that I couldn't refuse, and I ended up closing on that one pretty fast. So I actually had a 3rd location, and we closed on that one Valentine's Day of 2020. So, and it was 30 days before the COVID lockdown. And luckily, the 14th of February was the last day to start a new business before the PPP money had run out. So the 14th was the cutoff date. So I got lucky there. And I was able to run that business through COVID, but the timing on that was bad. And I ultimately ended up selling that business 3 years after I purchased it. We were able to keep it going. I was able to sell it for a profit. And the new owners are great. They're doing a great job with it. And that place is going to be successful. But that's one thing that I look at that was a failure in my business career.
Hey.
And
selling a business for a profit?
Yeah, totally.
I was going to ask you that, and I want you to keep, but like from the outside perspective, it looks like you've done nothing wrong. Like it looks like you've perfectly.
Oh, I've made tons and tons of mistakes.
But that's what you don't see. But like, do you just try to mitigate those, or like not think about those, or keep your failures small, or?
Yeah, you want to try to mitigate your risk, like you said earlier, but you also want to have more wins than losses ultimately in the long run. And entrepreneurs will fall on their face multiple times. So I see the Fainting Goat, which was the name of the pub, and it's still on 8th and Broadway. Lovely place. It's got 3 levels, rooftop patio. But I considered that a failure because I wasn't able to make it successful and keep it for a long-term play. Now, I want to get into, so when 2020 hit and we had the lockdown, that's when I started looking at my plan B, because we had 0 cash flow. I had tons of time to sit down and think. I looked at the overall picture of everything, and I decided, where do I want to go with my business career, life, contemplated different things. 2 ideas came to me during the lockdown. And one was basically crispy cocktails. And the other one was LIA, or LIA, or liabilities and assets. Now, one has become a success, and the other one has pretty much become a 6-figure failure that people don't really realize.
Don't.
So I'll start with the failure first.
Yeah.
LIA was liabilities and assets, and it's an app. It's a downloadable app. You guys can download it right now. I thought to myself, how can people turn their liabilities into assets how can people make money on the things that they currently have, or how can they save money on the things that they're only going to use once or twice? I think the idea is fantastic. It's brilliant, whatever. But we went through and built the app, and we found some developers in India that helped build the app. It took us over a year to build the app. It cost $70,000 to build that app. I've put at least another $30,000 to probably closer to $50,000 into marketing, keeping it going, doing the AWS, the servers, paying for all of that stuff, or employees to run it. The time, it doesn't even include the time we put into it. And I basically pulled the plug on it, even though it's still available. We ran into the chicken and egg problem with building a marketplace. You got to build out supply and try to create demand at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it was very, very difficult for us. And we tried to get momentum on it. We worked on it for a while. We basically didn't get any transactions on it. And I just decided, hey, let's stop putting more money into it. We'll keep it going. Let's put it on the back burner. Maybe we can figure that out down the road. But that's, what sunk fallacy costs too, to where I want it to be successful. I think that it's got a ton of potential.
Absolutely.
I think that people would actually use it and find value in it. But we had roughly, 500 users. We had I think over 5,000 downloads, but we just kept throwing more and more money into it and getting no cash flow in return. So it was like, hey, we need to stop to this. Let's look at something else. Now we started this basically at the same time. And long story short, this company took a long time to grow because we didn't put 100% effort into it. And we originally came out with a bad product with bad branding. Luckily, we didn't spend a ton of money on it. But when we hit market, we just sold it here and at the Crimson and Gold Tavern. And we got a lot of feedback saying that the product wasn't the best and that it didn't look the best and all of that good stuff. We redid everything. We redid the packaging. We got a new co-packer. We redid the formulas. We were in a lab to create new ingredients and a new recipe. And we came out with this line, which was the 4 different flavors. We brought it to the market and we got great feedback. Everybody loved the product. Everybody thought the branding was great. We could get it at a decent price. All the stars were kind of aligning, and I thought, oh crap, now we're really going to have to work on this thing, because I think we actually might have something here. And with opening up different retail locations, it's very difficult. You have to have a new set of employees, a new set of insurance, a new set of costs. It's a lot of inputs for the same amount of outputs. But something like this, or even Leah, is definitely more scalable. I think has a lot more potential. And so that's where we kind of stayed in what we would call our hedgehog concept. I think it's Dan Collins talks about in Good to Great. But it's inside the bar industry and can do well. It's like having another facet of your business or creating a different product that might have more potential or might help take you to the next level. And so it fits in what we were trying to do, whereas Leah was just totally different. And like I said, I wasn't much of a tech guy, but I do have, somebody that got his PhD in computer software that works for the company that's still going to school that helped build Leah. But anyway, Crispy was spawned off of that. And we really hit the market in March of 2024. And so it's been just over a year now, and we're in almost 250 locations now. Our sales have we're doubling pretty much every quarter, doing even better than that. We just got with the distributor. Things are really starting to roll. We've actually run out of product, which is a good problem to have. The problems that you want in business is you can't keep enough product on the shelf. It's not, we can't sell this for the life of it, and we have to discount the price, right? So,
well, I think it'd be a great documentary to see all the smart entrepreneurs during lockdown and what they created.
Yeah,
from there.
totally.
But when you had those ideas, I mean, and you were developing those through those years, what did you think between those two? What would you have bet on, or did you think Leah would have done better, or Crispy, or what did you put more effort into during that?
I would put a lot more effort into Leah, and I wish that we would have just come out with an MVP or a minimum viable product and just tried to like put a website out there and see if it would even work. And there are other companies that are doing something similar to Leah. There's Fat Llama. They're in Europe. They're successful. There's another company called Utilize that is here in the States, and I think that they're successful. Anyway, I think the idea is good, and I think that we're becoming we're in a shared economy. People are, renting out their homes, their cars, anything. So I was like, why not just do it with everything? I don't want to buy a lawnmower. I don't want to, pay $3,000 for a fancy surfboard that I'm only going to use once or twice. I just want to see if I want to use it. And that was where the original idea came from. So anyway, I think that it has legs, but it was so much more difficult. I spent a lot more money on it.
Absolutely.
I spent a lot more time on it. And it basically, in my eyes, is a huge failure. I've also had investments that I've done on the stock market that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars before as well. And people don't see that. You see everything face value.
No, absolutely.
Like you see Crispy with where it's at today, and it's like, oh, it's so cool.
Just seeing the journey and all that. Yeah, exactly. But you don't, and not everyone's gonna come out and be like, oh, I've lost a couple $100,000, $250,000 or this.
Yeah.
But still, but doing it correctly, you're able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that it didn't break you, but that's still in your eyes a failure, whereas no one else would know that if you didn't say anything about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a few different ways. There's probably a handful of different ways that I get over failure. One is I have a picture on my wall in my office of the deepest space photograph from the James Webb telescope that they just built that shows tons and tons of galaxies.
Yeah.
On this one picture.
Sick.
But looking at that picture to me shows me the bigger picture, and it's like, does this really, really matter?
Yeah.
There's so much else in the universe. We can get over this. I love looking at that photo. And I do have a vision board too that helps as well. Another thing is I try to think of 3 things that can be positive that come out of this situation. What were 3 things positive that came out of Leah, even though in my mind it was a failure? I got closer to some of my employees, and I have lifelong relationships with them now that are great. I learned so much about building an app, and I know that I could do it again if I came up with a better, more brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that, who knows, maybe it will catch fire, or maybe someone will come and buy it one day, and I can make money on it or whatever. But I learned so much from that. It was a very expensive life lesson. A couple of other things that I do too, exercise. I've got Bob in my basement. It's the body opponent bag. I will beat the crap out of him if I have a rough day or if I want to go over a failure. And those are some of the things that I deal with stress that I can get over some of those failures. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but how do you stay motivated? Do you need external validation? Do you need the numbers to be doing good? Is it just your family to be happy or comfortable, roof over the head? What keeps you motivated to even keep continuing? Like you said, you're not even close to where you want to be. So your bigger picture is probably way bigger than what we even see, and that's only coming from you. But where does that come from, do you think?
Yeah. I think that I'm inherently motivated, and I want to be successful. And I understand that it's not for everybody. Some people can work a corporate job or a day-to-day job, and they love having the continuity. They love having the comfort of working that job and having a steady income. I have some really good friends of mine that are other bar owners that just want that one bar. They don't want to expand. They tried another place because they thought they would like it. They failed there. So they just run their one, and it's made them millionaires, and they just want to do that. They're set in their ways. They don't want to expand. I'm the type of person, I like it.
That's fine.
Expanding always in all ways. So I like doing real estate. I like closing deals. I like doing the Krispies. I like running the bars. I like business in general. It's just for me.
No, I can.
And I like making money. I like providing for my family. I like buying nice things. I like going on vacation. I like doing those things. And I realized like nobody's going to do that for me. So I'm going to be the one that has to create those things. And I think ultimately that's what a lot of people want in life is they want to be in charge of their own destiny. They want to be able to have the freedom to do whatever they want. They want to have the freedom to, pay for things that they might not be able to afford right now. And so I really do think that let's say progress equals growth, growth equals happiness, and happiness ultimately ends into a good life. So
Is real estate like your sneaky, like behind the like, do you like flip houses or like what?
I have flipped a house, yeah. I
Like,
flipped a
do you
house
like
in Atlanta,
dude?
believe it or
Because
not.
I always love like that seems awesome to do that. Like if you can do that correctly, but like is that's just another aspect that you enjoy probably? But like, do you do that often? Like, or is it like, do you use it? You use it as a tool, clearly.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So I'm more of a buy and hold guy now, and I do love real estate, but I only own my own home and I own this building. But cash flow is king. And in the bar industry, cash flow comes easily. And it's not like you're waiting to get paid 30 days ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I look at what can I get the most cash flow out of? And I am trying to grow a little bit faster than buying so much real estate. And so I think real estate is a great stepping stone. But I also ultimately do believe that entrepreneurs should stick with one thing until they build a nice foundation and then go to the next. And so, Crimson and Gold was kind of that foundation. And
Yeah.
I was able to grow and get the cash flow enough to expand in different areas. And I do love real estate. I wish I would love to get into commercial buildings or, Airbnbs or, flip other properties, but that is a very capital extensive business as well. And to me, I would like to earn the big bucks and get paid on selling a big company or something, and then be able to pay cash for real estate down the road rather than leverage myself too much and get into too much debt. So
Got it. Is that the goal for Crispy? Like,
Yes.
is that your goal?
So-
like, what is your goal with this? Like, because I'll just say, like, from first to now, it's like I see the growth. I get to at least help somewhat with like boots on the ground and seeing people's reaction to the like. I think it's the coolest thing that people like seeing the reactions of people, like even at the Summit game, like they're like and buying it right from tasting it. Like, I love this and going that like maybe not be a customer for life, or maybe we'll never buy a 12-pack, but they still had that opportunity, bought it there, spent money on it. Like, that's so cool to like see that. Like, I think like, and it's not even mine. It's like, it's just, I think it's just awesome to see like the growth. And I'm like, yeah, where does it go from this point? I mean, like, how do you get to where you want to go? Which I don't know.
yeah. So it's funny, when I originally started, it was like my ultimate goal is to drink a Crispy on a cruise ship. 'Cause my joke is I like big boats and I cannot lie, but I love boating. I love being on cruises. But it's like when I get to that point, I know I've made it. But no, so we just got with the distributor. We got with a new co-packer again. So talk about perseverance. Like, we've had to change things multiple times. Now that we're with the distributor, who I love, Western Distributing is doing a great job. We got it with a new co-packer that's cheaper than the co-packer that we used before. I want to penetrate the Denver metro market, saturate and dominate. That's kind of the idea. So once we grow in this market and we can get some good market share and have enough viable cash flow and income, I'd love to expand. I think the next state that we go to is Arizona. I'd like to go across the West Coast. I'd love to turn this into a 9-figure company. My whole goal, and if, just to be totally honest, My goal that I talked about before was 100 million by the time I'm 50. I want to be worth $100 million by the time I turn 50 years old. That gives me 10 years. I think Crispy could very well be the catalyst that gets me there, but I do have other things to fall back on.
Yep.
So
What have you said you put about over 100 into Leah. What have you put into this today?
To date, probably $250,000, 250,000.
Wow.
And we're not profitable right now. And the goal this year was to make the company break even minimum. And I'm lucky enough to have disposable income to put it into the company. Some people don't have those, but I haven't taken a loan or anything on that. And it's a balancing act. Yeah. And it's all going to pay us down in the road. And we made some decisions that cost us a lot of money. I wish we would have got it with a distributor before, rather than hiring a delivery guy and buying a van and hiring our own sales guys. It was nice to do it in-house, and I think that we got maybe a little bit faster growth. But who's to say? And if we wouldn't have tried it, we wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
So we're still doing that. So I think that Crispy can definitely be my legacy. My name is Chris Potter, Chris P, Crispy Cocktails.
Yep.
So that to me, it's got my name on it. I want it to be successful. We can come out with different iterations. We can keep persevering, have patience, continue to grow. And I would love for it to be a brand that's recognized across the country, that has a ton of sales, that expands off of it, and just becomes super successful. And I want people to get value out of it as well. So, we want to come out with different products that people might like, that might be better for the market, that could diversify us as well. But right now we're still growing the groundwork or laying the groundwork when it comes to this product. So yeah, I'd love to be across the country and get it.
Absolutely. I mean, but it goes to show it is difficult to create a product and get it into marketplace and get people to brand recognize it. And it's not you see a Happy Dad, you see a High Noon or something like that, and this is different than that. But it takes the eyes, it takes the boots on the ground, it takes all those things, and then that's what people it is not easy to do this.
It is not easy.
It is not from packaging, from cans, you've gone through multiple iterations of just even finding what works for your margins, for all those things. And it's it is not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but over time, and when you do have a good product, you do have a good brand, I think that's what it always takes. It takes time. There's not the magic flip. Oh, I'm gonna make the best vodka. No, people still Tito's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's what they did, and it's not been an overnight for them, type of thing. But I absolutely love what you've done with it, and I just think it's super cool to just even see how you do that. But I want to, as we kind of wind down, I do want to know from your perspective, you do, I can tell you only have quality people around you, and that's what you do. But how do you create that culture? Because they're in it with you. And I think that's what you need. You have to be behind a leader to want to get behind those values or get behind the ultimate goal. But there's so many other people that I've seen that they are the king of the castle, and it's their way or the highway, and you do this. It's and they can be successful just as much. But I do love your culture. But did you always have those ideas when you did? Because I will never hire an employee. I don't want to deal with an employee. But you have dealt with probably hundreds of employees. But
maybe thousands.
Probably. But
yeah.
How do you create that culture to find those people? And what does it make you feel now? Just having those people around you, does it feel like it's an extension of you, or is it you're letting people be themselves through your avenue? Do you ever get someone's going to try to steal an idea or try to do something different? How do you get those people?
Well, never worry about somebody stealing your idea because it's all very hard. And it's in the execution. So like if people are like, I'm going to start my own cocktail company, I'm like, go for it, dude. Like I will try to help you as much as I can. But I think that it's having an abundance mindset. There's enough for it to go around for everybody. There's enough wealth out there for everybody. There's enough to go around. And so I think that the culture morphs itself into what it is. And I think that it follows the leader. So you want to lead by example and have the right mindset and attitude to build the culture that you want, and then instill that into your managers, and your managers will instill that into the people. But it starts with the hiring process too. So really be reluctant to hire people just because you need to hire them, because what I've noticed is hiring the right people just means so much more to your company than trying to get out the bad influences or the bad apples that can bring your company down. And so we don't have monthly meetings. We don't have crazy retreats or anything like that. We are friends with each other. We like to hang out with each other. And there's some fine lines there. But ultimately, you want to lead by example. Take care of your people. And ultimately, I think that they'll take care of you. And it's really not about how you're going to do it. It's who you're going to put on the bus with you and put them in the right seats to be successful. So, rather than ask yourself, like, how are we going to do this? Just make the decision and find who can actually help you get there. So like you said, in, hiring your wife, it's like having somebody that can help you do things that you're not the best at or whatever, that can actually make you better and your company better ultimately. So
a couple more. And this is a cliche question, but like, what metric would you think that you would have looked at earlier on? Like, give yourself some advice, like, because you said it's a 10-year overnight thing, but like, how would you get here quicker if you knew what you knew now at 19, 20? Like, or would you not? Like, is it just you have to have a process? You have to have that journey? Or is there a metric that you missed that you picked up on, like, okay, this could really just shoot it out?
I think that if I would have empowered my people faster, I would have got here quicker. I think that I felt like I had to do everything in the beginning, and I should have delegated more. And now I know how to delegate, and I delegate a lot better. People can't do everything themselves. If you want to be very successful, you're going to need an army to get there. And so I like having entrepreneurs inside my company that can do the marketing, that can do the maintenance, that can do the sales, and I don't want to have to, it's like, here's the goal. You figure out how to get us there. And we could talk about it down the road.
Yeah.
But empowering people gets better people on the bus. It helps them have a better mindset. It creates more creativity. It really, ultimately, I believe, creates a better company that's more innovative as well. And so if I would have done that from the get-go, I think I would have been more successful faster. And I also could have tried to expand a little bit faster. And sometimes I look back at it and say, man, I wish I would have bought more locations, or man, I wish I would have gotten into more real estate, but that's where you ultimately find your balance and try to be okay with where you're at this junction. So it's focus on the gain of where you started and where you're at now, rather than the gap of where you want to be. And so we still have a long ways to go, but I'm still super happy today because I get to do this awesome interview with you and really enjoy it and feel blessed and actually be a blessing in other people's lives.
Oh, it also, like, you make your time, like, you don't make your time, like, I know that your time is valuable, but you don't make it seem that way to other people because you give that time. And that's, you see that. And but what you just said is perfect because, like, I never asked for one piece of advice. I never did anything for my entire career. I thought, I'm going to do this all myself. I'm going to have all the answers. I'm going to just grind it out, make all the mistakes. But like, that is the worst way you can possibly do it. And you will look back and you'll be like, I wasted so much time.
Yeah.
And you can't really think it that way. But like, no, I truly value the way that you do things and like figuring that out. I just think it's incredible.
One thing that I would like to say is that right now we have a baby boomer generation that's going to retire. I don't know the numbers, but it's so many in the next, 20 years.
Yep.
If you're a young entrepreneur, a piece of advice that I might give you would be find an older person, baby boomer, that is about to retire, that wants to sell their business and try to pick it up at pennies for the dollar, because they've probably built a great life for themselves. They probably have something to fall back on, like Social Security and a retirement plan. They want to get out of the business, and they can like just literally give you the blueprint. It's like, here's what you need to do, A, B, C, D, and you'll be successful. And they're already doing, $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or whatever that number. And I'm actually looking at another location right now that's exactly like that, and we'll probably close within the next few months.
Whoa!
And
I was going to ask, do you have any plans on adding any more bars or sports lounges or like?
Yeah. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So we won't. But who's to say? Like, deals get to the end and they fall apart for whatever reason. And I've had deals fall apart before, and I feel really good about this one. But
wow.
I won't talk about that until we actually move forward on it.
Fair enough. That's.
But we've got Leah, we've got Crispy, we've got the Sports Lounge, we've got Crimson and Gold. If we can continue to build on what we have, and we continue to have great people like yourself and what we've done, we can continue to grow. And I want to be successful so I can make you successful, so I can give back to the people that have helped me be successful. I feel a responsibility to my people to make them rich as well, so to speak, because I see how hard they work, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So
that's a definition of a leader to me.
But it would make me feel so good to, be able to write a check for $1 million, to have a charity, to, do stuff for a foundation. So right now, the short-term goal is to expand Crispy, possibly take on another location, and keep doing the things that we need to do to be successful.
I've always wanted to know, and this is, we're like an hour and a half or so, but 22. Today's the 22nd. You're the 22nd podcast. 22.
My lucky number is 22.
Yeah, what I love 22. Oddly enough,
you
too.
do.
And that's my roulette number, like all that. But like, you have the wall of like 22. Like what was that? Is that just anything, or was it just stuck?
So my lucky number is 22. I was born on the 22nd of August. My birthday is exactly 1 month from today. And I didn't find this out until kind of recently, but my full name has 22 letters in it. And I wore that number pretty much throughout all my sports.
Huh.
So I like that number because I was born on the 22nd, August 22nd. And yeah, my full name has 22 letters, so it just became my lucky number.
Numbers mean something. Like, I think that makes, like, for whatever reason, like, and I'm not like super 22 as you, but like I just think, and I don't have any other, like, I feel like I don't have lucky anything, but but I always want to know. It's like, because it's a great number.
Yeah.
You answered it for me.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
Love the twos, $2 bills, and the 20.
I do give out the $2 bills too. I think that they're lucky, and I love seeing people's faces when they get a $2 bill and they hear that it's lucky. And most people will keep that, and most people will remember you because of it too. And I don't just give them out to everybody, but like if I go to, lunch or dinner, I'll leave a $2 bill, or if I meet somebody, I'll give them a lucky $2 bill. here or there, but I think that it's what helps me be me.
Love it. You ask everyone at the end, what is your favorite crispy?
What is my favorite? My
What's
favorite
yours?
crispy is the tropical smash, and this one is so good. And it's funny because we weren't even going to make this.
Interesting.
We were playing in the lab and came out with this formula, and one of the scientists actually came up with this formula.
Interesting.
And we tried it and was like, yep, we're just going to make that one. So we were only going to have 3 flavors: the king peach, the cherry press, and the blue squeeze. And while we were there doing it, we came up with this one too. So that one became our 4th flavor.
That's my favorite as well.
Yeah, and we actually have a 5th flavor, which is the cherry vanilla mixed with the blueberry lemonade or the blue squeeze. It tastes like a bomb pop. Try it if you get a 12-pack.
I
It
don't
is
think I need to do
fantastic.
that.
It's so good.
No,
So-
I love that one, and I just each one kind of makes me feel like in a different environment for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's one of those things. Like I truly like I've gotten crispy a couple times, and it's like it doesn't take much, and you can be obviously responsibly drink with those because it's like a couple, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the smash.
Get tipsy with crispy.
Get tipsy with crispy.
Yeah.
I love it. Chris, thank you for being on your
Thank
own
you so much.
podcast because I enjoyed that. Got way more like insight on, just you in general. But like, again, I could not be more happy to like do this. And like, I think it's absolutely would help someone, like just those tidbits of like things like this is what someone might be listening to in their morning. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, I think what you're doing is great. Keep it going. And I have nothing else for you.
Appreciate it. Maybe we'll do this again on the 44th.
Why not? We can double it up.
Yeah, definitely. So
All right.
cool.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Get crispy.
Yep. Good crispy.
Get crispy.